In the summer of 1940, Britain was fighting for its very existence. The Battle of Britain raged in the skies, a desperate struggle between the Royal Air Force and the mighty German Luftwaffe. But beyond the roaring engines and tracer fire, a hidden crisis was unfolding. British pilots were being shot down in staggering numbers, not because they were outfought, but because they were ambushed, blind to the enemy on their tail. The numbers were horrifying. By September, nearly half of all our fighters lost were shot down by German Messerschmitt Bf-109s, and in almost 3/4 of those cases, the British pilot never even saw his attacker. The problem was the Hawker Hurricane, the workhorse of fighter command. Its armored headrest, crucial for pilot protection, created a massive blind spot directly behind the aircraft. German pilots knew this. They trained to slip into that blind cone, close to within 200 yards, and open fire. The British pilot would have no warning, no chance to evade. The result, the average life expectancy of a Hurricane pilot plummeted to just 87 hours of flight time. 4 weeks. 4 weeks. Britain was losing its best men faster than it could train them. Hitler's invasion forces were gathering across the Channel. Something had to be done. In August 1940, Britain's top aeronautical experts gathered to solve this deadly problem. They looked at the grim statistics and confirmed the obvious. Britain was losing the visibility war, but their solutions were complex, expensive, and slow. Redesigning the entire canopy, that would take at least 18 months. Installing rear-view mirrors. Wind tunnel tests showed they slowed the fighters down, a fatal disadvantage in combat. What about rear-facing cameras? The technology didn't even exist yet. The conclusion from the experts was bleak and agonizing. The Hurricane's design was fixed. Pilots would have to keep dying until a better plane, the Spitfire, could replace it, a process that would take until the middle of 1941. It seemed that physics and engineering had no answer. The experts had declared the problem unsolvable, but on the very same day, the experts gave up. A solution was quietly taking shape at the Brooklands aircraft factory. It came from a man named Frederick George Miles, a 34-year-old self-taught engineer who had left school at 16. He didn't have a fancy degree or formal training. What he did have was a habit of listening to the pilots. He overheard a pilot describe the feeling of being hunted, saying, "I knew he was back there. I could feel it." The way you sense someone watching you. That idea, an invisible presence, sparked something in Miles's mind. He remembered seeing fabric ripple and flutter in turbulent air. He realized that a plane leaves a wake of disturbed air behind it, just like a boat leaves ripples in the water. A pursuing fighter has to fly through that disturbed air. What if you could make that disturbance visible? Miles worked late into the night. He took simple strips of lightweight cotton fabric, mounted them on piano wire frames, and designed them to be quickly attached to the wings. He called it the airflow warning device. The concept was almost laughably simple. When an enemy plane entered the Hurricane's wake, the turbulent air would make the fabric strips flutter in a specific way. The pilot, seeing the flutter, would know instantly that someone was on their tail and from which direction, without ever having to look back. The entire device weighed just 4 ounces. The cost to make one? A mere 11 shillings. The initial reaction from the establishment was pure contempt. Miles conducted an unauthorized test with pilot George Bullman, who at first refused to fly with what he called ladies' handkerchiefs on his wings. But Miles hit him with a brutal fact. 87 hours. George, that's the average combat life expectancy right now. Bullman flew the test, and it worked. Perfectly. Every time a chase plane got within 400 yards, the strips went mad, as he put it, showing different patterns that told him exactly where the enemy was. Bullman urged Miles to bypass the official channels, knowing the senior engineers would dismiss it as amateurish and absurd. The inevitable confrontation came a few weeks later at Fighter Command headquarters. Miles presented his crude invention to the same experts who had declared the problem unsolvable. They were furious. They called it aerodynamically impossible and attacked him for his unauthorized testing. As they argued about protocols and wind tunnel data, Miles cut through the noise. "How many pilots died while you were discussing testing protocols?" he asked, citing the latest losses. 41 hurricanes in the last week alone. The room fell silent. Just then, Air Chief Marshal Hugh Dowding, the head of Fighter Command, walked in. He was the man responsible for every pilot's life, and he didn't care about procedure. "I don't care if they look ridiculous," Dowding declared. "I care whether they save lives." The next day, a decisive test was arranged. The legendary ace, squadron leader Douglas Bader, would fly the demonstration. First, he flew a Hurricane with miles of strips. As two other Hurricanes tried to sneak up on him, one of the fabric strips began to ripple. Bader saw nothing in his mirrors, but he trusted the strips and broke hard left. An enemy plane flashed through the space he had just vacated. "Contact," he radioed. "Left quarter, 400 yards. The test continued, and Bader evaded every single ambush. Then, he flew an unmodified Hurricane. He had to work bloody hard, twisting and craning his neck, and only spotted 2 attackers by pure chance. When it landed, Bader walked straight to Miles and asked, "How soon can you put these on every Hurricane in Fighter Command?" Formal testing confirmed it. The strips increased detection rates from 31% to a staggering 89%. That was the difference between life and death. On September 25, 1940, Dowding ordered them installed on every Hurricane immediately. The impact was immediate and dramatic. Just days later, a pilot named Eric Lockhawk was on his first mission with the new strips. He didn't see the German fighter lining up behind him, but his strips rippled violently. He broke hard right, and enemy cannon shells tore through the air where his cockpit had been just a second before. A la terre side, I saw him coming. Not with my eyes, with those bloody strips. They gave me 2 seconds warning. That's all I needed. Lockhawk would go on to survive the war and become one of the RAV's top aces. The statistics told the whole story. In just 2 months, the Hurricane loss rate dropped by 40%. That's 40% fewer families receiving a dreaded telegram. 40% more experienced pilots living to fight another day. The Germans were baffled, describing mysterious fabric devices and wondering if the British had developed some kind of rear-facing radar. Their kill ratios plummeted. Miles' simple, 11-shilling invention was eventually used on 14 different aircraft types across 5 Allied air forces. Post-war analysis estimated it directly saved the lives of at least 820 pilots. After the war, the government offered Frederick Miles an honor, the Order of the British Empire, and financial compensation. He quietly refused. "I don't want recognition," he said. "I did what needed doing. That's all. I made fabric strips. Pilots saved lives. They're the ones who deserve recognition." He never accepted any honors or money for his work. When he died in 1976, his incredible contribution was mentioned in just a single sentence in his obituary. But the pilots never forgot. In 2003, a group of veterans placed a plaque at the old Brooklands factory. It reads, "Frederick George Miles. His fabric strips gave us seconds. Those seconds gave us our lives." The lesson of the fabric strips isn't about technology. It's about humility and the courage to trust a simple solution when the experts say a problem is too complex to solve. It shows that sometimes the difference between victory and defeat, between life and death, can be as simple as a few pieces of cotton and one person's refusal to give up. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as incredible as I did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more hidden histories. We'll see you in the next one.